Hi, welcome back. I'm Frederick. So me and my team has been working from home for some time now because of the coronavirus. I've made quite a few observations that I'd like to share with you about dealing with this because obviously it's very stressful. It's a weird situation. Most of us haven't tried anything like this before, and of course we get worried, we get stressed out, and we have to stay at home, and we still have to work from home. And how do we do this? I also want to address how to prepare for what I call the new normal, because at some point this crisis is over and we will return back to new normal. And I'm also certain that all of us, we have to start preparing for how do we want to react, who do we want to be, how do we want to work in this new normal. So stay tuned. I'd like to start this by saying one thing, and this is a sentence that I got from my dad, a very experienced psychologist. He said, you have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure that you are okay, because if you're not okay, if you're not fit, if you're not healthy, if you're not mentally strong, how can you be there for anybody else? How can you take care of your family? How can you take care of your friends, your job, anything, if you as a person are not strong, if you're not strong? For me, it is extremely important to emphasize you have to stay fit. And when I'm talking fit, I'm not necessarily talking about hitting the gym and having a super body and fantastic stamina. I'm talking about being mentally fit, being able to cope with what life is throwing at you. And this is one of the things that life really throws at us, because this is a new situation. But you have to stay fit. You have to stay mentally fit. Let me give you some ideas to how to become more mentally fit. First of all, if you open the news, you will see so many doomsday stories about this thing going on right now. The media, they are paid for the number of views the articles get. So the more crazy headlines they can put on, the more views they'll get and the more money they'll make. So the media typically blows things out of proportion. So if you open your browser and you start looking at today's craziness about this thing, then you will be worried, obviously, because they take the worst from all situations and put right in your face. Look at what the governments are saying. What precautions should you take? What is the current status? And then stop there. I would suggest stop worrying, stop reading too much and about what's going on, because it'll just add to your worries. If you are doing what you can, be good with that. Be satisfied with that. Now, many of us are used to working from home maybe one day in a month or so. So that's okay, but now it's every day. And how do we deal with this? How do we cope with this? Are we supposed to be in front of the computer 24/7? Are we supposed to, what are we supposed to do? Since we don't have a new norm for how are we working from home, we also have a chance or a tendency to feeling guilty just by going to the restroom, because then you're not sitting in front of the computer. And this is something that you have to deal with, because you cannot sit in front of your computer all day. When you're at office, you don't sit in front of your computer. You walk around, you talk to your colleagues, you have breaks, you go for coffee. So you have to find a way where you feel with yourself it's okay not to be in front of your computer at all times. I also would suggest avoiding looking at working hours, but looking at working tasks. So instead of looking at the number of hours you're sitting in front of the computer, align with your colleagues, your managers, whatever. What are the tasks I'm supposed to finish by today? And then when you're done with this, you've done your job. If you're done sooner than the 8 hours normal, then fine, enjoy it. Get some time off to relax. Go have lunch with your family. Make sure that you get some in-house exercise. YouTube is filled with videos on how to do exercise at home. Spend some time with this. Make sure that you get your blood flowing and you get moved around, even though you're not going too much outside. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of seeing people. And I know you're staying at home, so it's difficult to see other people, but use video conferencing, use virtual meetings. Make sure that people are turning their videos on. When you're in these virtual meetings, it's super easy not to turn on the video, because then you can do whatever you want while everybody's talking. But first of all, I don't think it's paying very much respect to the other people around participating in the meeting. Second of all, you lose this important contact. I do whatever I can to urge everybody to turn on the video, because just seeing other people, even digitally, makes you feel connected, and that just brightens your day up. One of my colleagues, he's actually hosting a nightly pajamas party with our colleagues, a virtual one, of course. But it gets, the smile back in people, and it's just a thing that makes you feel more connected, feeling back with your colleagues. Turn on the video whenever you go to the virtual meetings. These were the housekeeping tips for you to think about how to stay mental and how to stay fit so you can actually be there for the ones that you love and be there for your work. Another thing that I feel that you have to think about is, how does the new normal look? My perspective on this crisis and how long it's going to last and what's going to happen, I think can best be put in the words of Winston Churchill, which he said sometime during World War II. This is not the end. This is not the beginning of the end, but it may be the end of the beginning. I think this is most probably not going to last forever. We will at some point fight the crisis and go back to whatever you want to call normal. The thing is that now the world, or pieces of the world, has been in lockdown. We've been working from home for some time. We've been used to doing virtual meetings. We've been used to new ways of working. I don't think that we'll just go back to our offices and then everything is perfectly fine as it used to be. There will be some changes. These changes will be, there can be a huge backlog of work that has to be finished because you simply couldn't do it remotely. It could be that there is actually no work. It could be that the way that you've started working is much more efficient and smarter than the way you worked in office. I would suggest that you think about, what is the new normal going to look like for my office, for my job, for my colleagues, and for me. What am I learning now? How is my routines? How am I working? How will I take this back to the job when we go back to normal again? There is a lot of things to be considered here. If we're not moving anywhere, we'll just be sitting ducks the day that things go back to normal. And I think the whole world would have moved on. So for me, it's so very important that you start thinking about, how's the world going to look when this is over? I would spend some time looking into myself, looking at my own competences. And one way of doing this in a very practical way is actually to relook at your CV, relook at your LinkedIn profile, see how you present yourself, see how you present yourself in terms of, what are my key competences? What is my claim to fame? What am I doing differently or better than anybody else? I don't want you to think about this because I think you should look for another job. I want you to think about this because I think you should look at yourself and try to understand, where do you need to develop yourself in order to fit in to your envisioning of the new normal. I think this is an extremely important thing that you have to do, and I think you have to do it now. When this is over and we have to go back to office and start again, it's too late. You have to do it now. You have to prepare for the future. I know this is a lot of information, and I know there's a lot of things on your mind, on everybody's minds right now. And as I said, I think it's extremely important that we accept that this is the situation. Worrying more about the situation, sitting in a corner, getting scared about what's going to happen, it's not going to help or change anything. I'm telling you all these things because I want to take your mind off or away from the current situation and actually use it proactively to get more fit, to understand your own competences, and to get ready for when this is over. Because this will be over. It's just a question of when. I hope you enjoyed watching this video with me, and thanks for your attention. See you again soon. Goodbye.